Maylord her bride thought she was marrying a poor farmer. Then she saw what he really owned. Lena stepped off the shuttle with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. The air of this planet, Kalara, was crisp and clean, a stark difference from the smog-choked streets of Zethra City, where she had lived her entire life. She pulled her coat tighter around herself as the cold wind swept across the landing platform. Beyond the station, the world stretched out in gentle hills dotted with tiny buildings and cultivated fields. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. She was about to meet her fiancé, Cal, a man she had never seen in person, only through letters. The letters had been warm and kind, full of careful humor and little stories about life on his farm. Lena had expected a humble, simple man living a modest life, but there was a part of her that wondered what he was really like. A small figure waved from the edge of the platform. Cal looked smaller in person, but there was a calm confidence in his posture. His clothes were simple, plain trousers and a shirt slightly worn but clean. His hands, rough from work, held a small satchel. "Lena?" he asked, his voice soft but steady. "Yes," she replied, feeling a blush rise to her cheeks. I'm Lena," he smiled, a gentle curve of his lips. "Welcome to Kalara. It's not much, but it's home." Lena felt a flutter of nerves. She had imagined stepping off the shuttle and being met with grandeur, maybe a cityscape or at least some signs of wealth. But this was different. The buildings were small and wooden, the roads were dirt, and beyond them stretches of green fields rolled toward the horizon. It was peaceful, almost idyllic, but it felt nothing like home. Cal offered her his hand and she took it. His grip was firm, reassuring. "I'll take you to the farm," he said, motioning toward a small hover cart parked nearby. "It's a short ride." The journey was quiet at first. Lena stared out at the landscape, noting the orderly rows of crops and small animals grazing near wooden fences. There were no cars, no towering buildings, no neon lights, just the gentle hum of distant machinery and the natural sounds of wind and birds. "This is beautiful," Lena said, breaking the silence. "Much quieter than Zethra." Cal nodded. "It takes some getting used to, but most of us prefer it. Life here moves slower. You notice things more." Lena smiled, though she felt a little nervous. She had spent her whole life in the chaos of the city, surrounded by noise, advertisements, and crowded streets. Here everything was open and simple. The cart slowed as it approached a small farmhouse at the edge of a golden field. Smoke rose from the chimney and a few chickens wandered near the door. Lena's heart skipped a beat. This was it, the place she would call home. Cal jumped down first and held the door for her. "Welcome," he said again, his smile warm. The farmhouse was modest. Inside it was neat and tidy but very simple. A small table with 2 chairs sat in the center and a fireplace crackled softly. Shelves lined the walls, filled with jars of preserved food, a few tools, and books. "It's smaller than I imagined," Lena said, trying not to sound disappointed. Cal chuckled softly. "It's not about size, it's about life. We work hard, we eat well, and we have what we need." Lena nodded, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. She had expected modesty, but she had not expected such simplicity. Still, there was a warmth in the house that she found comforting. Over the next few hours, Cal showed her around the farm. There were small fields with green plants, a few animals, and a well-tended garden. Everything was in order, neat, and efficient. Lena worked alongside him, planting seedlings and feeding the animals. She was surprised at how capable she felt, despite her city upbringing. "You're a fast learner," Cal said, noticing her careful work. "Thank you," she replied, smiling. "I've never done this before, but it's kind of nice." Cal nodded. "Life here can be hard, but it's honest. You see the results of your work. You grow food, care for animals, and you know it's real." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lena and Cal sat by the fire inside the farmhouse. The sky outside was a deep purple, dotted with stars. Lena felt a strange mixture of contentment and unease. She liked Cal, and she liked the peace of the place, but she couldn't help wondering if she had made the right choice. She had left everything she knew behind to marry a man she barely knew, in a world that was completely different from the city. "Do you ever get lonely here?" she asked, curiosity getting the better of her. Cal leaned back in his chair, looking thoughtful. "Sometimes, but loneliness is a choice. Most of the time I'm busy with the farm or reading or writing letters." He smiled at her. "I think that's why we write so much before meeting. It fills the gaps until we can share the same space." Lena smiled softly. She liked that answer. There was a gentleness in Cal's words, a patient calm that made her feel safe. They ate a simple meal together, stew made from fresh vegetables, with bread from the oven. Lena had never tasted anything so fresh. She realized she had been so used to packaged food and artificial flavors that she had forgotten how good simple, honest food could be. After dinner, Cal showed her the small bedroom that would be hers. It was cozy, with a neatly made bed and a window that looked out over the fields. Lena set down her bag and looked around, trying to imagine living here every day. "Sleep well," Cal said softly, noticing her hesitation. "Tomorrow is another day and we'll take it slow." Lena nodded. I think I can do that." That night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the farm outside. There was a peace here that she had never known in the city, a stillness that was almost magical. She thought about Cal, his quiet strength, and the life he had described in his letters. He seemed different from anyone she had ever met. She wondered what kind of future awaited her here, in this simple house on this quiet planet. Would she be happy? Would she miss her old life too much? As sleep claimed her, Lena felt a small spark of hope. Perhaps this was exactly where she was meant to be. The next morning, Lena awoke to the soft glow of sunrise spilling through her window. The farm was alive with activity. Birds chirped, animals moved about, and the fields shimmered with dew. She dressed quickly and stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the fresh morning air. Cal was already tending to the garden, moving with quiet efficiency. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Morning," he said. "Ready to start the day?" Lena nodded. "Yes, show me what needs to be done." Together they worked through the morning, planting, watering, and caring for the animals. Lena was surprised at how physically demanding it was, but also how satisfying. Each task had a clear purpose. Each action produced tangible results. By midday, Lena was sweaty and tired, but also exhilarated. She looked over at Cal, who was effortlessly moving among the fields, and felt a strange admiration. He made it all look so easy, and yet she knew it must take years of experience to be this competent. "You're good at this," she said, panting slightly. Cal shrugged. "I've had a lot of time to practice. Farming is simple, but it takes patience. You'll get there." Lena smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. For the first time in her life, she felt useful in a way that mattered. As the sun began to set, they sat on a small hill overlooking the farm. Lena looked out at the fields, the animals, and the simple farmhouse, and felt a quiet contentment. Maybe this life wasn't what she had expected, but it had its own beauty. Cal looked at her, his expression calm and thoughtful. "You're adjusting well," he said. "I think I like it," Lena admitted. "It's different from what I imagined, but in a good way." Cal smiled. "That's all I can hope for." As night fell over the farm, Lena felt a small spark of excitement for the future. She didn't know what awaited her, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it. Little did she know, the life she had stepped into was far more extraordinary than she could have imagined. The morning sun bathed the farm in golden light. Birds chirped, and the wind rustled the tall grass in the fields. Lena stepped out of the small wooden house, yawning as she rubbed her eyes. She had slept deeply for the first time in months. The farm's quietness had been a balm to her restless city mind. Cal was already at work, tending to the small garden near the house. He moved with ease and precision, planting seedlings in perfect rows. When he noticed Lena, he waved. "Good morning," he called, smiling. Morning, Lena replied, trying to match his cheerful tone. As she approached, she noticed the garden wasn't as small as she had first thought. The rows of vegetables stretched farther than the eye could see. She blinked, surprised. You planted all this? She asked, her voice a little awed. Cal chuckled softly. Not all at once. It takes time. Every day a little bit. That's how anything grows. Lena nodded, understanding the patience behind his words. She bent down and began helping him water the seedlings. The water sprouted from the hose in gentle arcs, sparkling in the morning sun. She worked carefully, trying not to disturb the young plants. You're a fast learner, Cal said after a while, noticing her careful movements. Thank you, she replied with a smile. I'm trying. Cal leaned on his spade, watching her with a quiet amusement. City people usually think farming is simple, but it takes skill, attention, and care. You're getting there. Lena felt a small rush of pride. She had never considered herself physically strong or capable, but here she was, learning, growing, and actually feeling competent. The hours passed quickly. Lena and Cal worked side by side, planting, weeding, and tending to the animals. The farm was alive with activity. Chickens clucked and pecked at the ground, a few goats wandered nearby, and the soft hum of wind-powered water pumps filled the air. By midday, Lena was sweating, her shirt damp against her back. She wiped her forehead with the sleeve and looked around. The farm was quiet, yet full of life. She realized she had never seen anything so organized, so alive in her entire life in Zethra City. Cal called her over for a short break. He poured them both glasses of fresh water from a nearby well. Lena sipped, feeling the crisp taste, so different from the recycled water she had grown used to in the city. Do you like it here so far? Cal asked, watching her closely. I do, Lena admitted. It's harder than I thought, but it feels real, honest. Cal nodded, pleased. That's the point. Life here isn't about convenience, it's about results. You put in work and you see it pay off. Lena smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. There was something deeply satisfying about this simple, structured life. She realized she had spent so many years running in the city, chasing meaningless goals, that she had forgotten how fulfilling it could be to create something with her own hands. After their break, they returned to work. Lena noticed a few things that puzzled her. There were small machines tucked in the corners of the farm, tiny drones hovering over the fields, monitoring the crops, and sensors sticking out from the ground, measuring soil moisture. These are little helpers, she asked, curiosity shining in her eyes. Cal nodded. They help me monitor the crops. It makes it easier to know what needs attention. I don't have to guess. Lena nodded slowly. It was clever, but she didn't think much of it at the time. In her mind, it was just part of his resourcefulness, a smart farmer using tools to improve his work. As the sun moved higher, they moved on to feed the animals. Lena was surprised at how many there were. A small herd of goats, a few pigs, chickens, and even a few rabbits in pens. She had expected just a couple of animals, not this many. Cal worked efficiently, feeding each animal and checking their health. Lena followed his instructions, pouring food into troughs, making sure the animals were comfortable. She felt a strange sense of satisfaction in caring for these creatures. You're a natural with animals, Cal said, noticing how gentle she was with them. Lena blushed. I've never done this before, but I like it. It feels right. Cal smiled, pleased. That's what matters. As the afternoon approached, Lena grew curious about the fields beyond the immediate area of the house. They were much larger than she had expected. She asked Cal about them. They're part of the farm, he said simply. Some are just starting, some are ready to harvest. You'll see more soon. Lena frowned slightly. She had thought the farm was just this small plot near the house, but these fields stretched endlessly toward the horizon. Something about their size made her heart beat faster. Cal noticed her expression. It's more than it seems, isn't it? He said quietly. Lena looked at him, puzzled. More than it seems, Cal chuckled softly. I suppose that's a story for another day. For now, let's finish with the animals. There's still work to do. Lena nodded, but she couldn't shake her curiosity. As they worked, she kept glancing toward the distant fields, wondering what secrets they held. By evening, the work was done. Lena was tired, her muscles sore in a way that made her feel alive. They sat together on the porch, looking at the sun setting behind the hills. "It's beautiful here," Lena said softly. "It is," Cal agreed. "I've spent my whole life here and I still find it beautiful every day." Lena thought about what he had said. There was a calm confidence in him, a patience that made her feel safe. She realized she was starting to admire him, not just for his skill, but for the way he lived his life. Dinner was simple but satisfying. Cal had prepared stew from fresh vegetables and bread baked in the farmhouse oven. Lena was amazed at the flavor. The freshness was unlike anything she had tasted in the city. After dinner, Cal suggested they take a short walk. The night sky was clear and stars sparkled like diamonds. Lena had never seen a sky like this. In the city, the lights always blocked the stars. Here they were brilliant, countless, and breathtaking. "Look at that," Cal said, pointing upward. "You don't get this in the city." Lena tilted her head, her eyes wide. "It's incredible." "It reminds you of how small we are," Cal said quietly, "and how much we depend on the world around us. Farming teaches you that. You're part of something bigger." Lena nodded, feeling the truth of his words. For the first time, she felt connected to the land, to the work, and even to Cal. As they walked back to the farmhouse, Lena noticed something else. At the edge of the property, beyond the nearest fields, there were shapes moving, large machines glinting in the fading light. She blinked, unsure of what she was seeing. "Cal, what are those?" she asked, pointing. Cal glanced toward the machines and smiled faintly. "Those are just helpers, nothing for you to worry about." Lena felt a twinge of curiosity mixed with unease. The machines were far larger than anything she expected for a simple farm. She resolved to ask about them later, but for now, she let it go. Back inside the farmhouse, they settled by the fire. Lena helped Cal clean up, and then they sat in comfortable silence. The fire crackled, casting warm light across the room. "Lena," Cal said quietly, breaking the silence, "how are you feeling about all this? About the farm, about life here?" Lena thought for a moment. "It's different, harder than I expected, but good. I feel like I'm learning something real, something important." Cal nodded. "That's what I hoped. Life here isn't easy, but it's meaningful, and you're doing well." Lena smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. She realized that in just a day, she had learned more about herself than she had in years living in the city. As she prepared for bed, Lena couldn't stop thinking about the distant fields, the strange machines, and the quiet confidence of Cal. There was something unusual about him, something she couldn't quite place. But she trusted him, and for now that was enough. She drifted to sleep with a sense of anticipation. Tomorrow she would continue learning the ways of the farm, and perhaps, she thought with a smile, she would uncover more of the secrets that Cal seemed to keep hidden. Little did she know, the life she had chosen was far more extraordinary than she could imagine, and the man she thought she knew was quietly shaping a future that would change everything. The next morning, Lena awoke to a soft golden light spilling through the small bedroom window. She stretched and took a deep breath, feeling the crisp, clean air of Kelara fill her lungs. The farm was already alive with movement, the gentle hum of wind-powered machines, the clucking of chickens, and the distant bleating of goats. Cal was outside, moving through the fields with careful precision. Lena watched him for a moment, marveling at his skill. Every motion seemed deliberate, every step purposeful. She smiled to herself. He truly belonged here. "Good morning," Cal called, noticing her at the window. "Good morning," Lena replied, adjusting her sleeves. "It's beautiful again today." He nodded, his calm smile reassuring her. "It is. Ready for another day of work?" Lena laughed softly. "Yes, I think I am." After a simple breakfast of fresh bread and fruit, they set off toward the far fields. Lena was still learning, but she was beginning to understand the rhythms of farm life. Each day required patience, care, and attention to detail. She had grown stronger in just a few days, her muscles aching in a satisfying way from the work. As they walked, Lena noticed something she hadn't before. The far fields were dotted with small machines, hovering above the crops. Tiny drones buzzed over the plants, scanning and tending to them. Lena frowned, curiosity mixed with surprise. "Cal, what are all these machines doing?" she asked, pointing toward the distant fields. Cal glanced over and smiled faintly. "Those are helpers. They take care of the crops, monitor their growth, and make sure everything is healthy." Lena tilted her head. "Helpers, but there are so many of them, and they seem very advanced for a farm." Cal chuckled softly. "They're part of the system I've developed. Makes it easier to manage larger areas without constant supervision. You'll get used to them." Lena felt a twinge of awe. She had expected a small, simple farm, not a place filled with advanced technology. But she didn't press further, wanting to respect Cal's quiet way of doing things. They began their work in the near fields, planting new seedlings and checking the soil. Lena had become more confident, moving with ease and precision. Cal watched her, offering gentle guidance but mostly letting her learn through experience. "You've improved already," he said, noticing her careful planting. Lena smiled, feeling proud. "Thanks, it's hard work, but I like it." Cal nodded. "Hard work builds character. It teaches patience, responsibility, and respect for life." They worked side by side until midday. Lena was starting to feel comfortable with the rhythm of the farm, and she began to notice small things about Cal's methods. He had ways of doing everything efficiently, from feeding the animals to tending the crops, that suggested experience far beyond what she had expected from a simple farmer. During lunch, they sat on a small wooden bench beneath a tree. Cal unpacked a simple meal of bread, cheese, and fresh fruit. As they ate, Lena's curiosity grew. "Cal, do many people live like this here?" she asked. "Some do," he replied thoughtfully. "Most prefer the simplicity of the villages. Others, like me, have a bit more land, a few more resources. But I don't like to boast. It's better to let the work speak for itself." Lena nodded, sensing that he was being honest but also that there was more he wasn't saying. There was a quiet confidence in him that suggested experience and knowledge far beyond the ordinary. After lunch, they returned to the fields. Lena was still focused on learning, but she couldn't help sneaking glances toward the distant machines and vast fields stretching beyond the hills. Something about their size and complexity was unsettling. It didn't fit with the simple life she had imagined. As they worked, a sudden hum filled the air. Lena looked up to see a convoy of sleek, larger machines descending toward the fields. They were unlike anything she had seen before, automated harvesters, gleaming in the sun, moving with precision. Lena's eyes widened. "Cal, what are those?" she asked, pointing. Cal's calm smile didn't waver. "Those are the harvesters for the far fields. They come when it's time to collect the crops efficiently." Lena stared in disbelief. "Efficiently? But these fields, they're enormous." "How can a single person manage all this?" Cal shrugged. "It's not about managing everything alone. It's about working smart. The technology helps me take care of more than one farm at a time." Lena's mind raced. This was far beyond anything she had expected. She had thought she was marrying a humble farmer, someone who lived simply and owned little. Yet here was a man with advanced machines, enormous fields, and methods she couldn't begin to understand. She wanted to ask more, but Cal didn't offer further explanation. He simply handed her a basket of vegetables. "Why don't you help me with the harvest here?" he suggested gently. Lena nodded, her curiosity still burning, but she followed his lead. They moved through the nearby fields, picking ripe vegetables and sorting them carefully. Even in the work, she couldn't stop thinking about the vast fields and the machines working in the distance. By late afternoon, Lena could no longer contain her curiosity. "Cal, "You're not just a farmer, are you?" she asked softly. Cal paused, leaning on his spade. He looked at her with a calm, almost amused expression. "What makes you say that? The fields, the machines, the way you manage everything, it's more than just a small farm. It's something else, something big." Cal chuckled softly. "I suppose I underestimated how observant you are." He stood, dusting off his hands. "You're right. I'm not just a simple farmer. I work hard, yes, but I've learned ways to expand what's possible. Farming isn't just about land. It's about using resources wisely, about helping more people than one could with just their own hands." Lena's eyes widened. "You mean you own more than just this small farm?" Cal nodded. "I have several plots across the planet. I've developed systems that allow me to manage them efficiently. I prefer to keep things simple for visitors, but the truth is that this is much bigger than it looks." Lena felt a mixture of amazement and disbelief. She had imagined a quiet, modest life with a humble man. Instead, she had found someone extraordinary, someone quietly building something far beyond the ordinary. Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. Cal smiled gently. "Because life is about discovery. It's better to see it with your own eyes than to hear it from me. You'll understand more as you spend time here." Lena nodded slowly, absorbing his words. There was a calm wisdom in him, a patience that made her feel both safe and inspired. As they continued their work, Lena noticed other small signs of his ingenuity. Automated irrigation channels, solar-powered pumps, and even tiny sensors monitoring soil quality. Everything was designed to maximize efficiency while preserving the land. It was a harmony of technology and nature she had never imagined. By evening, Lena was exhausted but exhilarated. They sat together on the porch, watching the sun dip behind the distant fields. Lena felt a sense of awe she couldn't put into words. "You've built something incredible," she said softly. Cal looked at her with a small smile. "It's not about me. It's about the land, the work, and the people who will benefit from it. I just make it possible." Lena realized that what she had thought was a simple life was actually something extraordinary. Cal's humility, patience, and skill had hidden a vast knowledge and capability that she was only beginning to understand. That night, Lena lay in bed, her mind racing with possibilities. She had come to Kelara expecting a modest, simple life. Instead, she had found a man who was quietly shaping a future far larger than she had imagined. The distant hum of machines in the far fields lulled her into sleep. Tomorrow, she thought, she would continue learning and working, and perhaps begin to understand the full extent of what Cal had built. Little did she know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would reveal a man whose abilities, patience, and vision were unlike anything she had ever encountered, and a life that would challenge everything she thought she knew about simplicity, success, and purpose. Morning sun rose slowly over the farm, casting long shadows across the golden fields. Lena stretched and stepped outside, feeling the cool breeze on her face. She had begun to grow accustomed to the rhythms of the farm, the work, the quiet, and the steady hum of distant machines. Yet her curiosity about Cal's true life had not faded. Today, she noticed, there was an unusual quiet in the far fields. The machines she had glimpsed before were not moving as they usually did. She squinted toward the horizon, trying to understand what was happening. "Cal," she asked, approaching him as he inspected the soil near the main garden, "what's going on out there? The machines, they're stopped." Cal looked up and smiled, calm as ever. "Ah, that's because today you're going to see the full picture. I think it's time you understand the scale of what we do here." Lena blinked in surprise. "The scale?" Cal nodded. "Yes, come with me." He led her down a small dirt path that curved gently through the farm. The further they walked, the larger the fields became. Lena's eyes widened as she realized the sheer size of the land. What had seemed like modest plots from the house now stretched endlessly in every direction. Tiny machines hovered over the crops, drones zipped back and forth, and automated irrigation systems glistened in the sunlight. Lena stopped in her tracks, almost unable to speak. I didn't know it was this big. Cal smiled gently. Most visitors don't. I like to let people discover it gradually. But there's more. Follow me. They continued walking until they reached a ridge overlooking the far fields. Lena gasped as she took in the view. Beyond the immediate farmland lay a patchwork of acres, perfectly organized, stretching to the distant hills. Sleek harvesters moved silently, working in unison, and small storage facilities dotted the land. It was a sight that made her heart race. "These fields," she whispered. "They're enormous. How do you manage all of this?" Cal shrugged, though there was a faint pride in his eyes. "With careful planning, technology, and patience. It's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter. Every field, every crop, every machine, it's part of a system I've developed over years." Lena felt a mix of awe and disbelief. She had imagined a humble farm, a quiet life. Instead, she was seeing a man who had created something monumental quietly, without anyone noticing. Cal gestured toward a nearby structure. "Come, I want to show you something else." They walked to a low building tucked among the fields. Inside, Lena saw rows of small workstations, each with advanced computers and holographic displays. Maps of the farmland glowed in soft light, showing soil quality, crop health, and weather patterns. Lena's jaw dropped. You built all of this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Cal nodded. "It started small. I wanted to improve productivity, make farming easier, and help the land thrive. Over time, it grew. Now I can manage multiple farms, monitor everything, and help more people than I ever imagined." Lena walked slowly through the room, her eyes wide. Screens displayed automated systems for planting, watering, harvesting, and even animal care. Tiny drones hovered above some stations, moving as though they were extensions of Cal himself. I, I had no idea farming could be like this," Lena whispered. "It's incredible." Cal smiled softly. "It's not just about farming, it's about balance between technology and nature, efficiency and care. Everything has its place and everything has a purpose." Lena turned to him, her eyes full of admiration. "Cal, why didn't you tell me?" "Why keep all this hidden?" Cal's expression softened. "Because true value isn't in showing off. It's in the work, in the results. I prefer to let people discover it for themselves. And now, you see it." Lena felt a rush of emotion. She had come here expecting a simple life with a modest man. Instead, she had found someone extraordinary, someone who quietly created a world of abundance, precision, and purpose. They spent the afternoon walking through the far fields. Lena touched the crops, marveling at their health and perfection. She watched the machines work seamlessly, their movements almost graceful. She saw storage facilities filled with harvested crops, ready to be transported to nearby settlements. This is beyond anything I imagined," she said, her voice filled with awe. Cal nodded. "It's not about me. It's about what we can accomplish. I've always believed that with the right tools and care, even a small plot of land can become something great. And when you scale it, well, it can feed thousands." Lena's mind raced. This was far more than a simple farm. Cal had built an empire of sustainability, efficiency, and innovation. And yet he had done it quietly, without boasting, without arrogance. As the sun began to set, painting the fields in gold and orange, Cal led Lena to a hill overlooking the entire farm. From this vantage point she could see the full scope: acres upon acres of fields, machines tending the crops, and storage facilities blending seamlessly with the landscape. It was breathtaking. "You did all this?" Lena asked softly, her voice filled with wonder. Cal smiled, but his eyes were gentle. "I didn't do it alone. The land, the systems, and the work itself did much of it. I just guided it, and soon you'll help too." Lena looked at him, a mix of admiration and awe filling her heart. She realized that the man she had thought was a simple farmer was, in reality, a visionary. His humility, patience, and skill had allowed him to quietly build something extraordinary. They walked back to the farmhouse in silence, the sky now a deep purple dotted with stars. Lena's mind was full of thoughts, ideas, and a growing respect for Cal. She felt proud to be here, to witness what he had created and to be part of it. That night, as they sat by the fire, Lena couldn't stop thinking about the day's revelations. She realized that everything she had assumed about Cal, about the farm, and about her future life was wrong. She had expected simplicity, modesty, and quiet. Instead, she had found brilliance, vision, and care on a scale she had never imagined. Cal noticed her thoughtful expression. "You seem deep in thought," he said gently. "I am," Lena admitted. I had no idea it was like this. I thought this would be a simple farm, a quiet life, but it's so much more. You're so much more." Cal smiled softly. "I've never wanted recognition or attention. I just wanted to make a difference. The land, the work, it's enough, but I'm glad you see it now." Lena reached for his hand, feeling a connection she hadn't felt before. "I do see it, and I want to help. I want to be part of this." Cal's eyes softened. "Then you will. There's work to do, lessons to learn, and a future to build, together." For the first time, Lena felt that she was not just an observer in this extraordinary life. She was part of it. She could contribute, learn, and grow alongside Cal. The realization filled her with excitement, purpose, and a sense of belonging she had never felt in the city. As the night deepened, the farm hummed quietly under the stars. The machines worked silently, the fields stretched endlessly, and the farmhouse glowed with warmth. Lena knew that she had discovered something truly extraordinary, not just the scale of the farm or the technology, but the character of the man who had built it all. She drifted to sleep with a sense of wonder and anticipation. Tomorrow would bring more work, more learning, and more discoveries. And she knew deep in her heart that this life, this farm, this man, this extraordinary world, was exactly where she was meant to be. Little did she know, the true scale of Cal's influence and the impact of his work would continue to unfold, revealing a life far larger and more remarkable than she could yet imagine. The next morning, the air on Kelara was crisp and filled with the scent of fertile soil. Lena awoke early, excited for what the day would bring. After the revelations of the past few days, she felt a sense of purpose she had never known. This was no longer a simple farm or a quiet life. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. Cal was already outside, walking among the fields. Lena quickly dressed and stepped out to join him. The sun rose over the horizon, casting long, golden shadows across the vast farmland. Machines hovered silently above the crops, monitoring and tending them, while the distant hum of harvesters signaled that the far fields were ready to be worked. "Good morning," Cal said, turning to her with a gentle smile. "Good morning," Lena replied, returning his smile. She felt more confident now, stronger and capable. "I'm ready to start today," Cal nodded. "Good. Today, you'll help manage not just the near fields, but some of the distant ones as well. I think it's time you see the full operation." Lena's eyes widened. "The full operation?" she asked, excitement and nervousness mingling in her voice. "Yes," Cal said, gesturing toward the horizon. "I want you to understand the scale and purpose of what we've built here. It's not just for us, it's for the people who need it most." As they walked toward the far fields, Lena noticed the precision of everything around her. Automated irrigation channels glistened in the sunlight, tiny drones hovered above rows of crops, and the large harvesters moved with near-perfect coordination. Everything seemed alive yet perfectly ordered. "This is incredible," Lena said softly. "It's like the land is working with you, not just for you," Cal nodded. "Exactly. Farming isn't just about control. It's about balance, working with the land, understanding it, and helping it thrive. That's why this works." They reached one of the far fields where the harvesters were already operating. Lena watched in awe as the machines worked efficiently, collecting crops and storing them in neat, organized containers. She had never seen anything like it, an entire farm operating at a scale she had never imagined, yet doing so seamlessly and quietly. Cal handed her a tablet-like device. Here, this will help you monitor the fields. You can see what needs attention, adjust the drones, and even control some of the harvesters. It's part of the system I built. Lena hesitated for a moment, then took the device. As she explored the interface, she realized the depth of what Cal had created. The device allowed her to see soil moisture levels, crop health, growth patterns, and even predicted weather effects. She could manage several fields at once, make adjustments in real time, and monitor every machine in the system. This, this is amazing, Lena whispered. I can't believe one person created all of this. Cal smiled. It's not about one person. It's about the work, the planning, and the care. And now you're part of it too. Over the next few hours, Lena worked under Cal's guidance, learning to manage the distant fields. She adjusted drone paths, monitored soil conditions, and even helped direct the harvesters. Each task felt challenging, yet deeply satisfying. She realized that this was not just farming, it was a careful orchestration of technology and nature. By midday, Lena was exhausted but exhilarated. They took a break under a large tree near the center of the far fields. Lena sipped water, looking out at the massive expanse of crops, machines, and storage facilities. I never imagined life could be like this, she said softly. It's more than I could have hoped for. Cal smiled, his eyes gentle. Life is like that sometimes. You never know the possibilities until you see them, and now you're part of it. Together, we can do more than just tend a farm. We can help people. Lena's curiosity piqued. Help people? How? Cal gestured toward the fields stretching to the horizon. These crops aren't just for us. They're designed to be distributed to colonies and settlements that struggle to feed themselves. With the technology I've built, we can restore land, improve crops, and bring food to communities that need it most. Lena felt a rush of admiration. The man she had thought was a simple farmer was quietly making a difference on a scale she had never imagined. I want to help, she said firmly. I want to be part of this mission. Cal's smile widened. I hoped you'd say that. It takes dedication, patience, and care. But I know you can do it. The afternoon was spent preparing for the first distribution of crops. Lena helped organize containers, check the automated vehicles, and plan the routes for delivery. Every step required attention to detail, but she thrived under the responsibility. As they worked, Lena noticed other signs of Cal's ingenuity. Solar panels powered the entire operation, wind turbines supplemented energy needs, and water recycling systems ensured the land remained fertile. Everything was sustainable, efficient, and carefully designed. She realized that Cal had not only built a farm, he had built a model for the future of agriculture. By evening, the first shipment was ready to go. Automated vehicles loaded with fresh produce departed the farm, heading toward nearby settlements. Lena watched them leave, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. They'll arrive tomorrow, Cal said softly, and tomorrow they'll feed hundreds of people. Lena smiled, feeling a warmth she had never experienced before. This was beyond simple farming or rural life. It was creating a ripple of good that extended far beyond the farm. That night, they sat together on the porch, the stars shining brightly above. The farm hummed quietly, the machines resting after a day of work, and the fields stretched endlessly into the darkness. You've changed everything, Lena said softly. Not just the land, but the lives of so many people. I never thought I'd meet someone like you. Cal reached for her hand, his touch gentle and reassuring.